You know, I usually do not record a separate video on Tinto maps. So part of the EU5 development diaries that are focused on specific regions, their maps for cultures, provinces, locations, religions, etc. But since yesterday we've got a map of Poland and Central Europe, well, that's a must-have for a video. And I am prepared because I have a few books to verify what the hell they'll be talking about, and we'll see how cool the maps are. The most important part is this is all work in progress, so obviously not everything will be perfect, and any feedback coming from you guys in the comment section is really appreciated, especially if you have historical sources to prove that you're right. So first of all, we've got the political map mode. See, there's a Duchy of Lithuania, Galicia, Volhynia, there's Kiev, a bit of Golden Ord in the east. There's Poland, Sieradz, Łęczyca, Rawa. You see, actually, Poland is a bit occupied by Teutonic Order. That is at war with them, which we'll see in a second. There's a bit of Novgorod visible in the north. Livonian Order is having a bit different color than in EU4. A couple of Rigas. But let's take a look at their comment. A bigger picture of what's going on in this region today, as you hadn't shown it entirely before. To the west, the Kingdom of Poland is ruled by Casimir III of the House of Piast. He actually just recently started his rule. It is not a completely unified kingdom, as there are several powerful vassals under him. Most of them are also Piast themselves, so like Sieradz, Łęczyca, Płock. These are subjects of Poland, the start date here. To the east, the Duchy of Lithuania is ruled by the Gediminas, I think in Polish it's Giedyminiczowie, who has greatly expanded the influence of the country into Russian lands. Side note, Gediminas entitled himself in his diplomatic correspondence king, but was considered by the Pope king or duke. And the title of Grand Duke wouldn't be formally adopted until later, most likely replicating the Russian title Grand Prince. That's why Lithuania starts as a duchy, although it will have an event what it will make it possible to adopt the dynamic country name of Grand Duchy. To the south, the principalities of Kiev and Galicia Volhynia have recently fallen under foreign influence. The first ruled by the Fyodor, brother of the Gediminas of Lithuania, and the second by Yuri II, also from the Piast dynasty. To the north, Teutonic Order and Livonian Orders, which conquered the lands of Prussia and Livonia a century ago, are at war against Poland and Lithuania after long established rivalry. Also, side note, we will talk about Moldavia in the Tinto maps devoted to the Carpathia region, as it's currently in a placeholder spot. Yeah, so it's actually very interesting to explain to you guys a bit from where this situation is coming. So, in 1308, while Poland wasn't still really politically united, it was kind of an HRE over there, and Teutonic Order did take over the lands of Pomerania here, the Danzig, and this whole war that the game is starting with, it's pretty much around that, where Teutonic Order is trying to take the lands here. I think it's called in Polish Ziemia Kujawska, while Poland wants to retake what they think is theirs. So Pomerania, the Danzig province here. The lands here were occupied in 1332, and in 1332, this is the same year, there was a ceasefire established between these countries, but a year later the rule of Poland changed because Władysław died and Casimir the Great took over the throne. I think that's why Bohemia is technically in this war, because there was a whole ruling where the king of Bohemia, Jan of Luxembourg, was ruling that Teutonic Order is supposed to give back all of these lands to Poland, but Poland in exchange had to say, we don't want Pomerania anymore, this is not our rightful land. But the issue is, neither Poland nor Teutonic Order wanted to do that. And that's why in 1337, so when the game starts, Bohemia actually started trying to enforce on Poland to just accept this peace deal. What's funny, in the meantime, actual Pope ruled that Teutonic Order is supposed to give back all of these lands to Poland, but obviously Teutonic Order was nowhere close to accept it, so the war was still ongoing. The war itself will be ongoing in real life for 6 more years until 1343, and in the end Teutonic Order was giving back these lands to Poland but not Danzig. A new map called the diplomatic one. The game starts with an ongoing war between Poland, Lithuania and their respective vassals on one side, and the Teutonic Order, Livon Orders and Bohemians vassals on the other. Now we've got locations, and so far I saw the most of the feedback from Poles and the other people about this, because there are a couple of provinces here that, cities here that did not exist in 1337. Good example is Zakopane, that wasn't established until a few centuries later, and it was an actual city until 19th century. But I would say my approach towards locations is that you guys have to keep in mind, first of all, obviously give feedback, but you guys have to keep in mind that the game spreads from 14th till 19th century. So I personally think it is okay that some of the locations are named by the cities that are not there until 14th or 15th or even 16th century, if these cities will be a major locations in the long term. Because the game spreads so many years, so it is worth to actually also get this type of locations. We should not be just fully respective to the 1337 cities being existent there, because otherwise if you play a few hundred years, these locations will not make much sense historically, like they are not important in the 18th or 19th century. A few callouts, Łosice, that is, just here, is the city where my wife was born, but that city wasn't really documented until like 1505, so that's one of the examples. I think the biggest example is Zakopane here in the south, which wasn't an actual city until like 19th century, and since there's Myślenice and Nowy Sącz just next by, I think according to some maps that I checked, and here are just some screenshots, I think it would be more worth to just name this location Nowy Targ, because that city already existed in the 14th century and is a certainly big city until today, even I think bigger than Zakopane. Even double checking now, Nowy Targ was established between 1337 and 1370 according to the source that I'm having, and if you Google it, it was established in 1346. So even for this map it shouldn't be here, but I think it's a better city than Zakopane in the long term. Another thing that I saw some people did point out is the locations between Racibórz and Opole here, because even if you take a look at the Google Maps, you'll see that they're placed the other way around in reality. Well, yeah, as told you a bit earlier, I think it is okay that there are some mistakes here. I think the approach that I mentioned would be good, that they should focus on locations that will be the most important in the spread of the whole game, not only 1337. They could think about dynamic province changes, or in a specific ages, right? Let's say certain province here starts as Grójec, but it changes its name to something else over time. That would be really cool, but I wouldn't say it's like a must-have. Let's go further. We've got a few comments about this. Here we have the locations of Poland, Lithuania, Ruthenia and the Baltic region. Some issues that have already been reported by Polish co-workers are the inconsistencies locations naming in Polish. We use proper Polish letters more thoroughly. And we also started to review both the Polish and Baltic locations based on the early feedback you gave us. Oh, and also Vistula and the Koranian lagoons missing a bug. We probably re-add them while doing the map review yet. There's no lagoon here. Now we've got provinces, and it's actually interesting. Warszawa is a province, why there's no location called Warszawa. I'm not sure I like this approach, but it's okay. And is it me or there are more provinces than there are in EU4? Plus there are locations as well. I think since they have a location called Białystok, that's one feedback that I had immediately. I think this just should be called Podlasie. Białystok equals Podlasie. Białystok is a city, Podlasie is the region, and this is very well a region in Poland called Podlasie. And I think that could be also the approach towards the different regions here. Follow the region's name for these provinces. Obviously, like Wielkopolska would be all of this combined, so it will be more of a state. But yeah, Ziemia Sandomierska is a good approach. Ziemia Wieluńska is also, I think, historically Pajęczno? That's a new one, I never heard of it. But yeah, that's just some initial feedback. I'm not an expert. Let's take a look at the terrain. Everything has continental, even Danzig. Okay. A lot of flatlands, a bit of marshes here. We've got obviously a lot of forests, farmlands and grasslands, but mostly forests and woods. It's interesting there's not a terrain type that is telling us that there are a lot of lakes in the region, because this region is well known for lakes, and you see in the map there's not a single lake visible, right? So it's not looking perfect, but I wouldn't say it's a must-have. Got cultures. I'm really interested in the comments on the cultures. Ruthenian definitely seems a bit big. The Baltic lands have an interesting mix of different cultures. Western Baltic culture represents the people of the speaking of West Baltic language. Old Prussians, Jotvingians, Curonians, etc. While Prussian is the culture of the German settlers of that area. On that side, we have a Baltic German culture in the lands of Livonia and Estonia that is also settled by the German-speaking people. Okay. Latvian, Estonian, Western Baltic, Samogitian, Prussian, Western Baltic, Kashubian is a separate culture. The divide between Polish, Ruthenian and Alsatian might be too deep, so we'll most likely add a bit more mixed situation in the borders between these cultures. It is really fixed here. Religions, obviously, both in the Baltics and in Lithuania are still pagans. And that is gonna be actually make the gameplay around here interesting. Definitely the mission tree that Lithuania is gonna have is gonna be interesting to probably go the pagan way or go the historical way and become Catholic. A region with a more interesting religious setup. At last, it was all Catholic before. Apart from the Catholic Orthodox divide, you can also see the Romuval religion, which was a hot topic in 1337. Shall the Dukes of Lithuania convert to Catholicism or stay pagan? Red stripes to the north are other animist populations. Ah yeah, still some animists, okay. Also disregard the Sunni region to the southeast, as we have to review all the pops of the Pontic steppes as well, okay. Raw goods, amber, yes, I love it. And out of lumber, white game, wool, wet, lead, silver, iron, obviously, coal already being here. From the distribution of the materials, maybe a couple of things might catch your eye. The first is that there is an amber good present on the shores of the Baltic Sea. The second is that the Tatra Mountains in Slovakia have a bunch of precious metals, which makes them a very interesting area to exploit and develop. We got alum here, tin, obviously gold. Yeah, I think this warrant really showed a bit early in the previous dev diaries. We got population. 1.5 million in Lithuania, 1.8 million in Poland, plus subjects, 1 million in Teutonic Order, 900,000 Galicia-Volhynia. Just a reminder, Galicia-Volhynia was taken over by Casimir the Great in 1349, so very early into game. That's a lot of population here. Per province split, the population of the region is divided in country location views. Do note, the total population of Estonia is not 700,000. Obviously, this is Denmark population because Denmark starts with lands there. First, own in Denmark. Second, we've heard your feedback regarding the population map mode, and we'll take a look at how to improve the visualization of the area, making it better for you. So maybe just besides numbers and it being gray, they might add colors, I assume. Markets. So we've got Riga market, Novgorod market, Kiev market, Krakow market. So obviously here's Krakow, and the more far away from the market, you see the more dark, the least access to the market the locations have. Next week you'll see Italy, also very interesting, but let's see some feedback from the people in the comment section. Somebody shared the Baltic tribes, but this is 1200, so almost 150 years earlier. Can we expect Kashubian dynamic province names? If we receive feedback already, it might be possible. Oh yeah, good luck with that, guys. That is an interesting question. The vassals seem to have a different color depending on the degree of autonomy, right? Shouldn't Poland start with an alliance or at least inheritance pact with Hungary? There is some content related to the union of the crowns with Hungary, yes. Oh, some feedback from a fellow Pole. Where he's asking for a Mazovian culture. I wouldn't say it was that much different, but since with Kashubians, we might think about Mazovians as well. And yeah, they're asking if this should be Slovak or Gurals. Interesting. I'm not so convinced about that, honestly. Yeah, feedback about the province names. Łomża instead of Wizna, Drohiczyn, or just Podlasie. Locations. just some small adjustments, not huge. Adding Silesian naming for the provinces. Kashubian, this guy is a hero. Kashubian names, Gural names, Mazovian names, nationality Polish, home Mazovia. But 9 excess. Shouldn't Poland have a truce with the Tentos as the war ended in 1332, but they established a peace treaty in 1343? But weren't they fighting in between? See, this kind of feedback that we want. Shame that the Holy Cross Mountains in Sandomierz Kielce provinces are shown as flatlands, not as at least hills. Approximate area on the map of modern-day Poland. Additional for the Kielce province, I believe Chęciny would be a better candidate for the name, to the Kielce being fairly irrelevant until the 15th-16th century. Honestly, I'm for Kielce, not Chęciny, if it was relevant a bit later, but within the time frame of EU5. Why is Memel not a square? Good question. Again, city name after Bogdan Chmielnicki in 14th century. If it was named after Bogdan Chmielnicki in 17th or 18th century, but it was a relevant city for the time period EU5, I have nothing against it, unless they introduce dynamic province and location names. But if they don't, I have nothing against it. Could you reveal what are ethnic minorities in Central Poland are, please? Germans and Ashkenazi. So you do always read also old Tinto maps. Yes, otherwise it wouldn't make much sense to ask for feedback. Yes, they are reading that feedback. That is not just an ask for an engagement in the chat. That's interesting. A little spoiler about Silesian. There are Silesian, Slavic speaking, and German Silesian, German speaking cultures. And I love this already. A guy started sharing some feedback on the population of Poland. You see with all of these maps and tables. And there's immediate feedback from Pavia. Can you share just the data sources so I can review it and adjust the numbers if needed? But hey guys, I think that's where I'm gonna finish for today. Let me know what you think about these maps and tell me if your location is on the map and what's the name of it. And obviously subscribe to the channel to get notified about the next Tinto Talks, which I'll probably record on Wednesday. Bye!